Hey, hello guys, welcome to Hwang's channel where the search for the truth begins. So today's topic is Hwang, Korean queen and a Tamil princess, Aitha Nadu. Some may call it conspiracy theory or truth or history. Decide it for yourselves after analyzing the data shown in this video. But we call it the truth and the history which is hidden purposely. In Ayodhya, India, a Mani Mandapam has been built for a queen. Who is this queen? They say it was for the Korean queen. In Korea, people worship her as a goddess. For a queen, a museum has been built in Korea. They say the queen was from India and she was an Indian princess who became the Korean queen. Is this Korean queen from India? Was she from Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh, or was she from Tamil Nadu? What is the history? What is the relationship between the Tamils and the Koreans? This has been a debate for so long now. We will try to analyze the available data and present to you in this video. Let's get into the video. Korea was ruled by a Tamil queen. We have seen or heard this info in many YouTube channels, websites and newspapers. Why are we discussing this topic now? The reason is in Ayodhya they are going to build a Mani Mandapam. In South Korea they are going to erect a museum. But there are so many errors in the history books and misconceptions. A woman from Ayodhya ruled Korea. A Korean goddess came from Ayodhya, the first empress of Gaia. She is called by many names by the Korean people. Our history has been changed in the English newspapers. If we need to understand the truth, we have to identify where this started, the root of this history. When we start to search for the truth by reading books and the time when it actually happened. Her native kingdom is believed to be in southern India, which is in Tamil Nadu. However, there is no mention of her in any pre-modern Indian sources. Why did they change it to Ayodhya? The princess should be from Kanyakumari or Podigai region, but why they have mentioned it as Ayodhya? So the first question is, how did this history come to the knowledge of the world? This started with a Buddhist monk called Hwang from Korea. This monk writes the story of Korea in the 13th and 14th century. Was the Korean history written from the 12th century? Yes. What were the languages used to write the history of Korea before the 13th century? It was written in Chinese and Japanese. China and Japan enslaved the Korean population. Both the countries kept the Korean history as a secret and protected it. They changed the Korean history into Chinese and Japanese languages. To overcome this issue, the Korean monk Hwang transcribed the books from Chinese and Japanese to the Korean language. When he started to transcribe, the Queen's history came out. But this history was not released in the 13th and 14th century. It was released in the 18th century. The Korean people were very curious that their history started from India. What did the monk Hwang write in his books? The book's name is Samguk Yusa. Hwang also writes another book before Samguk Yusa. It is called Korea's Old Testament. For the Koreans, this book is a holy book. What was there in Hwang's Old Testament? It is a Korean holy book. So the book was compared with India's history. History books and myths have a lot of connections. The first book name is Dangun, first king of Korea. His name was Gwan-in, a heavenly king. We should notice the other names which are given to this first king called Sakradevendra. In India, Lord Vishnu has a chakra in his hand. This history is similar to the Korean book. There is a history in Korea which says that a bear and tiger are stuck in a cave. Both animals, if they have to survive, they must eat a fruit and live for 20 days. The bear comes out of the cave and becomes a woman. That woman was married by a god and they had a child. This is a story from Korea. In India, we have the Krishna story. Many stories in both countries have a lot of connections between India and Korea. So we can understand that there is a connection between both countries. When did a connection between Tamil Nadu and Korea happen? There are no confirmed records available. There is one report which says that trade between both countries existed. The Cheras, Cholas and Pandyas traded with China, Japan and Korea. During the Sangam period, Pandyan kingdom was at its peak in Tamil Nadu. During that time, we traded with other countries. There are many records which are available from Kiladi, Kodumanal. So we have the proof. During ancient times, what role did the Tamilians play in Korea's history? What is the connection between Tamilians and Koreans now? Many Koreans visit Ayodhya, India to see the birthplace of their goddess or queen. South Korea gave nearly 200 crores to build the Manimandapam. The estimate was 25 crores. So giving money to build and visiting the place to worship, now we can clearly understand the connection. Hwang in the book also mentions a mountain called Kuji. We Tamilians call it the Kurinji mountain. They have changed the name from Kurinji to Kuji, but the history is the same. To pray to the god, the Korean people should go to the Kuji mountain and sing songs. Our history says we have to sing songs in the Kurinji mountains. Many songs do exist today in Tamil Nadu. So we can clearly see that history is moving towards Tamil Nadu. When did the history of the queen go to Ayodhya? When Hwang transcribed the Chinese books to Korean, he mentioned Ayudha. The princess was born in Ayutha. Where is this Ayutha? The Koreans began their search for it. In Thailand, there was a place called Ayutthaya, but they didn't accept it as the birthplace of the queen. Then they had a doubt that there is a place called Ayodhya in India. So they come to Ayodhya and start their research. They come to a conclusion that their queen came from Ayodhya. This was confirmed from research which was conducted from 1992 to 1997. But after this research, they confirmed that Ayodhya and the queen didn't have any connection. But they now say that it may be Kanyakumari or the coastal states which existed in the Tamil Nadu region. Now Tamils say that the princess was a Tamilian princess. When Tamils talk about their history, many will disagree with the facts. Many will disagree that this is not history but a myth. But now we should search for the history. Where was this Ayutha kingdom? Why did Kumari Karai come into this topic? We know that Hwang wrote the book in the 13th century, the year 45th century BC. This was the time when the Pandyas were ruling Tamil Nadu. The Pandyan dynasty ruled from 300 BCE to 1650 CE. We should notice the flag or symbol of the Pandyas. There will be two fishes. In South Korea, you can see this symbol in many places. The Koreans called it Sashangaman. The ancient officials used this symbol in their coins. So, through this symbol, we cannot say that the princess could have gone to Korea from Tamil Nadu. This is just a trump card for us. When trade was happening, the symbols could have gone to Korea. But why did the Koreans give importance to this symbol of the Pandyas which was used for trade? The queen's original name was Shenbavala Rani. Shenbavalam is her commonly used name. Koreans call their queen Hwang. She has been called Shuri Ratna. These names are based on the precious gems which we used to call it in Tamil. According to the legend, at the age of 16, the princess started her journey to Korea as instructed by her parents. The princess' parents have said that the gods appeared in their dreams and told them to send their princess to marry the king of Korea. The King Suro, on the other hand, had stated that his selection of wife will be commanded by the heavens. He commanded man to ride a horse and reach the south of his capital. When the man reached the destination, he saw the vessel with red sail and red flag. This vessel was carrying the princess. Thus the king and the princess got married. King Suro and Queen Hyo had 12 children. The current stats say that over 6 million Koreans trace their lineage to Queen Hyo. We should know what the Pandyas traded. Tamil people went to dig up pearl from the sea. Our people lived in the coastal regions, so pearl resources were abundant during that time. So we exported the pearls. Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh is not a coastal region, so there is no chance that pearls are found in Ayodhya. So there are no possibilities that the princess was from Ayodhya. The book says that the princess was accompanied by 22 people in a boat. The region which had this logistics to transport the princess was Kumari region. Is there a connection between Ayutha Nadu and Kumari region? There is a connection. Till 10th century BC, the southern coastal region of Tamil Nadu was called Karai Ayu Nadu. So we now know the Ayu region was ruled by the Pandyas. So people called the Ayu Nadu as Ayutha Nadu. We should also know about a port called Ayudurai. This Thurai was a vassal to the powerful Pandyan kingdom. Thurai in English means port. Ayu means a region which became Thurai. So from the Thurai, the princess may have left for Korea, but they have changed the name from Thurai to Ayutthaya Nadu to Ayodhya. The truth is, in the 45th century BC, there was no place called Ayodhya. Ayodhya was called Saketa at those ancient times. So there is no chance that Saketa was changed to Ayodhya in those times. But there were cities called Thurai or Karai Ayunadu in Tamil Nadu. There is a possibility that these names can be changed to Ayodhya. Surely this proves that the princess was from Tamil Nadu. Is this the only similarity Koreans have with the Tamils? Nearly 6,000 words from Tamil are used in South Korea language. Amma, Appa, Ni, Nan, all these words are an exact match to the Korean language. The games played in ancient times in Tamil Nadu are well versed by the Koreans now. Besides, the agricultural equipment used by the Koreans in ancient times is similar to Tamil people's equipment. When Koreans were ruled by the Chinese and the Japanese, the Korean people gave preference to rice. They called the rice as soru. The Koreans celebrate their harvest festival as Susyok, whereas the Tamils celebrate it as Pongal. There are no possibilities that two ethnic people have the same words as Appa and Amma. Around the 1st century BC, many Tamils travelled and settled in Korea as the early Pandyas of Tamil Nadu had trade routes with Korea. An anthropologist named King Byung-mo appeared to confirm that the belief Ayutthaya was actually Ayodhya, as the two names are phonetically similar. But Grafton K. Mintz and Ha Tae-hung implied that the Korean reference was actually to the Ayutthaya kingdom of India. They also confirmed that the queen was a Tamil from Ayu, a vassal state of the Pandyan kingdom in Tamil Nadu. The area is now called Kanyakumari. So the princess must be a Tamil princess. How was the travel of the princess possible? What and who did the princess take with her in the boat? What are the reasons the Indian government is saying that the princess was from Ayodhya? Let's discuss this in another video. Comments about this video are most welcome. Please do subscribe and share for more content to WikiVox, the voice of Wiki. Please do click on the notification icon. Nandri, Vanakkam.